And in so many studies, it has been found, and we talk about this throughout the tool actually for this month, it has been found that people who hold compassion for themselves, who realize no matter how hard we strive, we were built to not be perfect. Like, that's the whole point of this experience that we're having, is to not be perfect. And people who are willing to engage in that and embrace that fact and be like, oh yeah, I know I'm gonna mess up sometimes. And that's okay. I actually enjoy, like, I don't set out to make mistakes, but I enjoy the opportunity of learning and growing from any mistake that I make. And I can positively talk myself through them. So building that positive self-talk. We talk about it time and time again. That's why we've partnered up with Self-Pause, that positive affirmation app that we talk about, because we can have those positive reinforcements, have that positive self-talk that helps us then when we do, mess up, which is part of the experience, and then be able to have compassion for ourselves and go, okay, well, I don't desire to do that again. It's not like I'm going to be a repeat offender in this way, but now I know what the outcome of doing that action or that choice is, and I can do something different in the future. I've now walked that path. I know where it leads. Let's just back up the bus and choose a different way. And so just the studies alone of the self-talk, positive self-talk, let alone the ability to use positive words for others, because we do tend to have a little harsher language sometimes toward each other. And so if I'm willing to call myself stupid, how quickly am I going to be willing to call you stupid?
That's a great point.
Right?
It's a very great point. I feel like that leads again to, what would love do? Love wouldn't call someone stupid. They would maybe have patience. They would be there to support, help, guide, whatever's needed in that moment that is an embodiment of love, care, help. There's so many other words that can be used. And so I feel like just this continue, what would love do would be a great question to ask if one is seeking to bring more compassion into their life before they do something. If you can have a conscious awareness of, what can I ask myself if a situation arises? What would love do? Mm-hmm. I think then you would notice that whatever action that is would be a compassionate act.
I agree. And we talk about being conscious of things. I know in so many podcasts we come back to that, being mindful, being consciously aware of our actions in the present moment. And just that step alone takes a lot of practice. And for many people, and we've heard this from folks, we've heard it time and time again, how do I even get to that step? How do I even get to the point where I can be consciously aware of my actions in the present moment? Because I am still feeling what just occurred. Someone triggered me previously, or I have so much that I need to do in an hour or a day or in a month. So I'm so focused on what's coming up that I'm either back there or ahead here. And so being consciously mindful of what's happening in that moment isn't the easiest thing to do. That's actually probably the most challenging part of this personal development that one could find. And so part of what I would like to talk about today is, okay, so how do we do this? Not in a, okay, so meditate and practice mindfulness. Like, those are all wonderful and they are amazing, amazing tools.
Right.
But if you're in your office or you're driving your car or you're with your family, you may not necessarily be able to practice all of those things in a moment. So what are things that we can do that bring us more fully present in the moment during those times so that we can engage compassion when we're at the workplace and either our co-workers or our boss or like there's all this pressure coming at us and we desire to hold compassion, but we've got deadlines that we have to meet, or we're thinking about the fight we just had with our spouse or our partner or our kids before we came in. How do we stay present enough to hold that compassion and not go forward or backward? Do you have any tools or tips that you would offer right out of the gate?
It's a great one. I'll continue to reiterate asking the question, what would love do? Mm-hmm. But I feel like that's a byproduct of a bigger one. That's being present as much as possible. Because a lot of the things that, well, really anything that happens in the past isn't in the present.
Yeah.
And so, those things that may be piling up, if we truly are present, then we realize that that doesn't have to change how we act now. And so the more present we are, the more that we have the clarity to start asking ourselves a question like, what would love do? Or how can I be compassionate? How can I be compassionate right now? Or what can I do to help myself and those around me? There's so many versions of compassion that we can embody and choose to embody. But I feel like we are innately love. And so compassion is going to be a natural byproduct of our doing. So the reason why I'm saying present is because when we are present, then we tap into our being. And when we are focused on our being, then the doing follows suit. And that doing will be one focused in love. That love can be then very compassionate, however that is needed.
To get present in order to have that flow. I know you talked about in a previous podcast, you used to wear a rubber band on your wrist and flick it in order to bring you back into the present moment. Mm-hmm. And that is a tool that someone might be able to use. Plus, it just makes everybody wonder what in the world you're doing, and it might make you the most mysterious and interesting person in the room. And we've also mentioned breath practices are another way to bring you back into the present moment. Something as simple as, and unnoticeable, right?
Yeah.
You could do breath work with your eyes open and simply breathing into your stomach, then your chest, then into your throat, and then releasing it the same way. But just that focus of, okay, I'm going to inhale into my stomach, then into my chest, then into my throat, and then I'm going to mindfully release out of my stomach, and then out of my chest, and then out of my throat. You have to concentrate on that, and you have to feel your body. And you really have to focus in that moment in order to make that happen. And that connection with your body really pulls you back into that moment. And then from there, you've oxygenated your body, you've relaxed your body, you've brought your mind back into the present moment, and it's easier then to move forward from that present moment. And that invokes compassion in a much easier way. You can ask that question, or any of the questions, like what would love do, or how can I be more compassionate in this moment? How can I hold space? How can I seek to understand what's going on instead of presuming that I know what's going on? Because presumptions can really create entire separation from the actuality. When we presume, we're forecasting into the future versus seeking to understand in the present moment. So there are little practices. For me, it's music. Oftentimes, I love music. It's part of like my soul calling. I love to listen. I can't sing. Well, I am not the most blessed at singing. I am capable of singing. It's just not something anybody would want to listen to on a regular basis. So, but it doesn't stop me from turning on music and connecting and just being in that moment with the music. So we all have to find what pulls us back into the moment, because it's going to be different for all of us. A willingness to be transparent with ourselves, which was last month's, and say, all right, so what does bring me back? For you, you have multiple different things that bring you back: music, golf, breath work, the rubber band. And so it's good to have a cycle of things, right? Because you can't go out and play golf every time you want to be present in the moment. So a rubber band is a great way, or breath can be with you anywhere you go. So take the time to find the tool that's going to help you be present in that moment.